Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, April 27th City Council Finance Committee meeting. I have no people registered in advance for the public forum portion of the agenda. So we will begin with the agenda items starting with 75-21. Before we get there, folks, I'm sorry, just to name who's here from the committee. Myself, Councilor DiNatale, Councilor Boschman, President Zarella, Vice President Walsh. Councilor Hughes informed me earlier today that due to a work commitment, he may be late or not in attendance this evening. So he apologizes for that. But we will begin with 75-21. In order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Mass Department of Fire Services Firefighter Safety Equipment Grant in the approximate amount of $19,075 for the purpose of said grant, which is to upgrade communications equipment in the fire department. I have a letter here dated April 8th from the chief to Mayor DiNatale stating as follows. I am requesting the city accept a grant from the Mass Public Safety and Security Department of Fire Services in the amount of $19,075. This grant will allow us to upgrade our communications equipment, which delivers information to responding units more efficiently. This grant allows us to purchase iPads and their supportive equipment for in-service apparatus to obtain pertinent information when responding to emergency calls. This equipment will also be beneficial when we are conducting fire inspections. These iPads will sync to our IMC dispatch software, which will also be updated with funds through this grant. We have also been approved to purchase 8 thermal imaging batteries, which have about a 2 to 3 year life cycle and can be costly to our department. I have Chief Marama here in attendance this evening. Chief, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Councilor, I just want to thank Captain Jacko Martin and Lieutenant Robert DaCosta for their work on this grant. This is a step in the right direction for us as far as the technology base goes. This is pretty well reviewed throughout the state. Lots of departments have this. It's going to allow for real-time information to our responding crews instead of relying on our fire alarm dispatcher to have to relay lots of this information. It can be used on inspection basis for when companies do those things as well. So there's lots of different tools we could be using these iPads for, and then also in addition, the ability to get the thermal imaging batteries to upgrade that stock as well. So this is a new grant from DFS. This is a first-time application for us, and we were successful. So with your approval tonight, we'll put these funds to good use. Thank you.
Questions from committee members?
Make a motion, we accept.
Second.
We have a motion made by Councilor Boschman, seconded by Councilor Zarella to accept. I will accept these through unanimous consent if there are no objections. It is accepted unanimously. Thank you. 76-21. Order that the City of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the Mass Department of Environmental Protection Sustainable Materials Recovery Program grant in the approximate amount of $42,000 for the purpose of said grant, which is to continue to provide residents with more robust information about waste disposal and recycling, purchase additional carts for the curbside program, expand the current program, and reduce, reuse, and recycle in school cafeterias. And we have here this evening Department of Public Health Director Steve Curry. Mr. Curry, is there anything you'd like to add to this order, sir?
Thank you, councilors. Yes, if I may, I might just add briefly that this grant is based on our solid waste and recycling program that exists in the city. Annually, we score points. This year, we scored 14 points for, as you can see, a total of 42,000. And these funds are basically used for those items mentioned, as well as our Recollect app, which is an app to be found on our webpage, which is a calendar to help people to find out when collection is, and also for curbside collection in the landfill information, as well as a disposal wizard. If you have questions regarding items that need to be either recycled or disposed of and not sure where it goes, that app will help with that. And it also helps with us notifying residents in the event of service interruptions or any other additional collections. And with your approval, I appreciate your time.
I got one question.
Councilor Boschman.
Question for
Will you say I know we went up 14 points. How do we go up 14 points? By using the app?
We did not go up 14 points, Counselor. We scored 14 points in this fiscal year.
14.
Annually, it's really tough to compare one year to another because it constantly changes. But there are a lot of factors that go in, and we score points based on the program and what is offered. I'd be glad to go into detail with you on that.
I don't mind if you want to, if the other councilors don't object. The other committee members, that is.
So very briefly, the calculation stands as our solid waste program scores 2 points. We do not score any organics points. Organics is usually related to curbside food waste or any food waste disposal. Our bulky item scores 2 points. Our reuse scored points. Basically, reuse is the swap shed located at the landfill where folks can drop things off and items get reused. We did score 2 points for yard waste collection. We are looking at next fiscal year of actually expanding. Currently, we offer 16 weeks of yard waste. We're looking to expand that to 20 weeks yard waste. Will make us eligible for more points. We score 1 point for having the eligibility for residents to attend 4 household hazardous waste events in the city. And again, working with AKS, we hope to expand that to 2 more to score more points on that. We do not score on our Center for Hard to Recycle Materials. We do not score on a comprehensive hauler regulation. These are items that we could certainly look at with these funds. We do score 3 points for enforced residential curbside recycling. Always needs work on that. We score 1 point for our outreach and education, and we score 1 point for recycling center access. Each, which is a total of 14 points, each point is worth $3,000.
Oh, not bad. All right, that's all. I make a motion, we accept.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Boschman, seconded by Councilor Zarella. If there are no objections, I will take this under unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, it passes. Thank you. 7721, in order that the City of Fitchburg approves the expenditure of funds from the Mass Collaborative for Action, Leadership, and Learning 3 Substance Misuse Prevention Grant in the approximate amount of $250,000 for the purpose of said grant, which is to prevent and reduce misuse of substances of first use, alcohol, nicotine, cannabis among youth. A letter here from Mr. Curry to the mayor on April 14th states as follows. Please be advised that I'm respectfully requesting an order to be directed to the City Council to approve the expenditures of the above grant totaling $125,000 annually for 2 years, with funding possibilities for a total of 8 years totaling $1,250,000 effective July 1st, 2021. Funding is provided by the Mass Department of Public Health, Bureau of Substance Addiction Services. Purpose of the grant initiative is to prevent and or reduce misuse of substances of first use among youth. This grant is in partnership with the Montezuma Public Health Network communities, Gardner, Leominster, and Winchington, with Fitchburg as the lead agency. Director Curry, anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you, Counselor. This program does fund our substance abuse coordinator, and it will fund a contractor in the Gardner area or the city of Gardner, which will help with the other towns that are nearby, which is Winchington. Not to get too deep, it is a planning grant for the first year, but it does have the potential to be over $1 million for 10 years. So we look to continue to offer the programs that our SAPC and our MOPSI program offered for the last several years. And we look to continue these and also bring them into the youth segment of something that we have not done with those 2 grants. And this grant does get into more than just opioids. It does cover alcohol, cannabis, and other substances, as you mentioned.
Mr. Curry, is this for 2 fiscal years? Is this for, when does this?
So currently, I'm seeking approval for the expenditures of 2 years. I hope to be back in year 3, asking for many more years for expenditures. But right now, it's just 2. But it does have the potential to go to 10.
I'm thinking from a budgetary standpoint, because, you know, I'm sure this grant will, is it FY22 and FY23, and then you'll be back to us in FY24, or?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the committee?
I make a motion, we accept.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the grant, and I will take this under unanimous consent if there are no objections. Seeing none, it has passed. Thank you. Next, we'll go to 7821, and we'll also take 7921, so we'll take both together. 7821 states that there being hereby is transferred from within the sum of $22,688 to be transferred from Health Personal Services Food and Milk Inspector and credited to Health Expenses Food Consultant Expenses. And 7921 is an order that there being hereby is appropriated the sum of $25,000 to be charged against available funds and credited Health Expenses Food Consultant Expenses to cover the duties of the Food and Milk Inspector. And the letter from Mr. Curry on April 14th on this subject says, the purpose of these transactions is to contract with a food consultant to cover the duties of the food and milk inspector until the position can be filled by a permanent employee. Please also be advised the food and milk inspector position is a state mandated position, and the mandate further requires a 1 full-time equivalent per 150 permitted establishments. Currently, there are approximately 250 plus establishments permitted in the city of Fitchburg. Mr. Curry, anything you'd like to add to that?
Very briefly, councilors, 7821 is basically to cover the cost of the duties that have been covered since the previous food and milk resigned. And then 7921 basically allows us to continue meeting the state mandates with food inspections until the position can be filled, but I have asked for the funds for the remainder of the fiscal year, as we seem to be getting a little close to the end of the fiscal year.
Mr. Curry, would this be a private company are there private companies that do this work?
It is private companies. I actually already am using 2 companies at the moment.
Okay. And is the job advertised currently, or?
As far as I know, the job has not been posted as of yet, but the request and the information has been submitted to the Human Resources Department for posting.
Okay, and Mr. Brooks, with the budget year starting on July 1st, I mean, this is a question for both of you. Is it the city's intention to have a full-time person on board by July 1st?
It is my intention, yes.
Okay, because I mean, I think that should be noted. I'd be interested to know from Director Davis when this job is going to be posted and when she anticipates we'll move on a hire, because we've got 2 months left of the fiscal year. So I'm assuming if that's not the case, there would be something in the budget to cover the continuation of the privatized service until we get the new hire, but I'm hoping that that's not the case at that point. So that was just my comment on it.
Counselor,
Yeah.
I believe what we're doing in the budget is we'll probably fund the position of food and milk inspector. If it's not filled, then we might be back to council next year to ask for another transfer out of personal services and into expenses to cover it.
I'd have to assume that if we fund the food and milk inspector as a full-time for the full year, the funding will come out of that line item to pay for the private service in the meantime, right? Is that what you're saying?
They would eventually, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the funding would be there. We just have to do a transfer out of it.
I would still like to request that a communication be sent to the Human Resources Director, just asking for a status on when she intends to have that posted publicly for applications.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilor Walsh.
Actually, both of my questions you have asked and they've been answered, so thank you.
Thank you.
That question
Councilor Boschman.
for Steve. Is it cheaper for us to just farm that job out and have a consultant come in? This way here, there's no headaches, and anytime we want say goodbye, we can say goodbye.
So is that all your question?
Well, yeah, it was part of my question. Yeah. Is it
Yeah,
cheaper?
well, to touch on that, right now I have two contractors that are working. One is $150 an hour and the other one's $100 an hour. So presently, I haven't found anybody any cheaper than that. So I don't think it's cheaper to contract out at the moment.
All right. All right. Make a motion. We accept.
Second,
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the transfer and the free cash appropriation. If there are no objections, I'll take this under unanimous consent. Seeing none, both 78 and 79-21 have passed. Thank you.
Thank you, councilors.
Next, we have three orders involving the Department of Public Works. First one is 80-21. In order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $45,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to the Department of Public Works capital building renovation for the purpose of installing a new roof over the DPW office building. A letter on April 13th to the mayor from Commissioner Bossinetto states as follows. In 2019, the mayor and the city council appropriated $88,000 for the design and installation of a new roof. DPW hired a consultant to design the roof and provide stamped plans. In March 2021, the bids were opened for the construction of the roof. There were 11 bids received ranging from $109,900 to $190,300. The lowest bidder did not submit pricing for the alternate bid items and was disqualified. The bid price submitted by the qualified low bidder was $115,800. The DPW building was renovated in 1985. This renovation included a new roof, which remains to this day. The roof has outlived its expected life and currently has several leaks. The requested funds would allow us to complete the much-needed construction on the roof. And we have the commissioner present this evening. Commissioner, is anything like to add to that?
No, I just want to thank the Finance Committee and the councilors for looking at our needs. The leaks are pretty severe. I've had to move my desk because, the roof's leaking so bad just to protect the paperwork. So this is a very good investment in the facility, and we appreciate your help.
Commissioner, what is the expected lifespan of the new roof? How many years is that going to? 30, 40? What do we?
Yeah, it's a rubber membrane roof, so it should last 30 years. That's expected life expectancy. But we'll try to take good care of it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee?
motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve 80-20. If there are no objections, I'll take this under unanimous consent. Seeing none, it has been favorably recommended. Thank you. 81-21, that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $400,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to DPW admin expenses, stormwater contract services. I have a letter here on April 13th from the commissioner to the mayor stating that this $400,000 is to cover the costs of various stormwater drainage improvements throughout the city and maintain compliance with the city's municipal separate storm sewer system, MS4 permit from the Environmental Protection Agency. The requested funds will be split between drainage system repairs and improvements in engineering consulting services. Drainage system improvements will consist of rebuilding and rehabilitating existing drainage structures throughout the city, including collapsed catch basins, and manholes, collapsed or undersized drain lines, and collapsed or undersized culverts. Engineering consulting services will include tasks aimed at maintaining compliance with the city's MS4 permit and addressing outstanding permit year 3 FY21 requirements and upcoming permit year 4 FY22 requirements, including the following: dry weather outfall inspections, ongoing approximately 85% complete, annual catchment area investigations, ongoing approximately 15% complete, street design and parking guidelines report, green infrastructure assessment report, impervious area best management practices retrofits report, GIS mapping assistance, phosphorus source identification plan, and annual training reporting and record keeping. Commissioners, anything like that?
Yes, sir. So this line item for the stormwater system management and construction is actually being removed from our budget, our fiscal 22 budget. So you won't see it in our budget, and instead we're asking for it in free cash. This is to keep us up to compliance with our MS4 permit, and it also helps us to fund the drainage improvements. For example, when we want to pave a road, we can use some of this money to fix the catch basins and culverts ahead of the paving, and that helps us move projects along.
When you say it's removed from your budget, you mean it's removed from your request for the budget, correct?
Correct.
And this is in consistent practice with what we've done in the past? We've been funding this out of free cash?
Yes, sir. This has been consistent with what we've been doing for the last couple of years, and this is in cooperation with Mr. Brooks.
Do we happen to know? I know 2 or 3 years ago we met with Mr. Erickson on. We had a consultant come in to do an assessment of what long-term range planning on how we're going to pay for these massive upgrades across the city because of the federal mandate. We don't have to get into it in too much detail here, but I believe there were options provided, but we haven't acted on any of those options yet, correct?
Yes, correct. Assistant City Engineer, Mr. Erickson, is actually at the Concom committee meeting today discussing the Amazon project, so he couldn't attend this meeting. Mm-hmm. But basically, we have discussed, and we actually had a presentation ready to go, but then COVID hit last year, so we had a presentation to discuss, how to fund the stormwater improvements, either through fees or through the budget, and we could, perhaps maybe bring it back up this year.
I would request as part of the minutes that we make a point, since this is going to cover us through FY22, that by the end of FY22 we have that presentation and we have that put before us, so we can move forward on arriving at some kind of a long-term solution than what we've been doing. I understand why we're doing it this way. I agree with doing it this way and until we have a plan that we agree on. But I would hope, considering the fact that COVID hit, and I recall you guys were prepared to come before us, I'm requesting that before the end of the next fiscal year, for the FY23 budget, we have some kind of a go forward plan on how we wish to proceed. If it's free cash again, then that's the will of what we decide to do. But there needs to be a presentation soon on long-term options on what we wish to do here. And I know the mayor is going to be part of that discussion as well. So obviously, thank you. Any other questions from the committee?
Question.
Council Boschman.
Question. The MS4 program costs us approximately $1.6 million a year, correct?
You're saying it cost us $1.6 million?
Well, to make them run properly, $1.6 million. That's where
I think that was one of the early estimates in everything we would have to do eventually, yes. Okay.
Now, my question to you, last year or the year before, I forget, maybe the council president, the chair can remind me, we appropriated, you guys said that out of the $400,000, you would hire some summer help to help get caught up on the catch basins. Is that still going to be in effect?
Yes, last year we couldn't hire summer help because of the COVID crisis. This year we're trying to hire some more help, summer help for all our divisions in DPW to catch up on some of those catch basins.
Okay. Now, my final question, because it relates to this, and if you look at 082-21, you're planning on paving part of Oak Hill Road. Are you going to do any MS4 work up there? Because there seems to be a problem with runoff water in the early spring and heavy rains.
Yes, we looked at one culvert The creek doesn't have a name, but there's one culvert that we want to replace before paving, and most of it's country drainage, meaning it just goes out into the grass area. But the rock walls are right there. There's a little bit of an indent, so we want to make some drainage improvements with these funds. That way, when we pave Oak Hill Road, it lasts 20 years hopefully.
Yeah, because I know for a fact, I happen to live in the area, so I know I seen it this year and last year and the year before. And in early spring, when snow melts and heavy rains, there's quite the water running down there, and it's going down the middle of the road and across the road, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? And I just was wondering. But we'll get to the 082 after, but I just want to know if we're going to do something about that. All right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. I will take this under unanimous consent if there are no objections. Seeing none, it is passed or favorably recommended. Last item on the agenda is 8221, that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $300,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to the Department of Public Works Capital Street Repair for the purpose of paving a portion of Oak Hill Road. And the letter submitted on this states as follows, that the cost of repaving Oak Hill Road for $300,000 will cover from Sarah Lane to Franklin Road, approximately 1.15 miles of roadway. This segment of Oak Hill Road is in very poor condition with pavement condition index, PCI, ranging from 38 to 59. This roadway serves as a collector road with commuter access from Route 2 and also serves as the main entrance to the Oak Hill Country Club. The roadway has a traffic volume of approximately 3,000 vehicles per day. The proposed work would include cold in place recycling, CIR of the existing pavement, and placement of a microsurfacing course. The CIR process was successfully demonstrated on Crawford Street last year, and it is a quicker and cost-effective means of rehabilitating roadways. A microsurfacing course was successfully applied on Ringe Road, and it has proven to withstand similar traffic volumes. Ringe Road has approximate volume of 3,150 vehicles per day. DPW paved the section of Oak Hill Road from Sarah Lane to Fifth Mass Turnpike in 2018. The requested funds would complete the corridor. And commissioners, anything like to add to that?
Again, we appreciate the committee's help on this project. I know a lot of people complain about that roadway. It is a gateway into the city. It needs to be paved, as soon as possible. We are, Chapter 90 funds. We only get $1.1 million a year, and that money goes very fast. Paving is very expensive, so we just don't have money for it this year. So the mayor has very generously offered, to put this forward to the committee to get this project funded this year.
Any questions from the committee?
Question.
Councilor Boschman.
When was the last time that was paved?
I don't have that number in front of me. I don't know.
Because if I recall right, it was paved at one time because the members up there, and I wasn't on the council when it got paid, so I want to make that clear. The Oak Hill Country Club, if I'm not mistaken, complained they really didn't want it paved, and it was a lot worse than what it was now because the cars were racing down there after it got paved. And then what they did is they cut across Oak Hill Road, part of Oak Hill Road, and put an underground irrigation system in so they could water the back nine, shall I say. And they never really fixed the road completely right. My question is, you're telling me that they get 3,000 cars, that Pittsburgh residents, 3,000 of them?
Yeah, that's the traffic count on that roadway. About 3,000 cars.
When was that?
On average a day.
When was that traffic count taken?
I believe that's from 2015 or so.
All right, because I thought it was less than that, a lot less. And I was having a hard time because a lot of vast majority up there, Oak Hill Road, that go to the country club are not Pittsburgh residents. They're out of towners. And That was my problem I was having. And I got, you know it, and I know it, we got a lot of roads that are a lot worse, and there's a heavy count on a lot of other roads, a lot of them. And I don't want to hear about it's a gateway road, because the only gateway it is for the people coming off of Route 2 to go play golf, or the other residents coming home that live in the Clegon area. So to me, I'm not here to please the outsiders that don't live in Fitchburg. That's my big bottom line. But you're sure that that was done? Because I thought I had information and I couldn't find it. I thought there was only like 1,000 cars. I'm going to look back on my records here, because when you guys paid Mount Eden Road, I had that, and I was arguing about that, and it was part of the thing. So I got to find that info. I was looking for it today. And I want to know, my question to you, while we have you in front of you, what are the policies about paving roads? How is this going to work now? What is your policy, so we all understand and we're all underneath the same page?
Right. So, like I said, the money's very tight, so we have to make very good decisions on which roads to pave. We also have to balance between arterial roadways, which are the main roadways. For example, Summer Street. We're going to be paving Summer Street this summer. We're going to be doing the sidewalks and paving Summer Street from Harvard down to Moran Square. That's a very important road, heavily trafficked. So we're doing that road. Then we're doing Williams Road, which is less traveled, but again, you gotta do some of the roads also in the rural parts of Fitchburg. Keep up on those roads, and then we try to do a collector road like Beach Street. Beach Street is a collector road. Oak Hill Road is a collector road. So those are somewhere between a local road and an arterial road. So we try to mix and match, make sure we're hitting arterials, collectors, and maybe some of the smaller residentials, and also spread it out throughout the areas of the city. That way everybody's getting a little bit of benefit.
All right. Well, when you say B Street, the only reason why you did B Street is because it was part of the agreement when you had the water source separation and you dug it up, that B Street would get paved. So I just want to let you know again on that in Ward 5 and Ward 6, when they did the separation up there, their agreement was to pave their roads, and I kept my big mouth shut. So I expected B Street to be paved up to where you did. I just want to make sure that Clegon doesn't get left out of this this bit here. And just because we're saying, again, Oak Hill Road is the gateway, I find it very, very hard to believe that statement. That's very loosely said. You're not going to drive to Oak Hill Road and come through the heart of Clegon to get to downtown Fitchburg. I find it very hard to believe. And I'd like to know if we can find that information, because I don't believe it was 3,000 cars. I got to look and find it. I think it was more like 1,000, and I have streets that have more traffic than that on it. All right, I appreciate it. I say thank you.
Okay, so I know Councilor Zarella wants to talk. I got something to say first. I recognize that, I'm going to say from the outset that, Councilor Boschman's going to probably want to speak after me and say that he's not saying he's against it, or he's not saying what I'm this happens all the time when we have a request for free cash to supplement Chapter 90 funds to pave a road that we would normally do. And this is one of those issues, folks, where I will just come out and say, I am always shocked that any one of us has consternation or hesitation about what road we're going to do. In this city, given this is a subject that we are pelted with on a daily basis by the constituency about the road conditions, the fact that our constituency blames us when they're not blaming their state legislatures, where the blame really lies, we're going to question a road between this road or that road. I've said before in campaign pledges, I don't care what road it is. We are not in the business in this city to be picky. The index is 38. 38. It's not like the index is 75 or 80. It's 38. I mean, do we want to wait till it gets to 15? I think Oak Hill Road gets a bad rap because it's got a country club. Well, Mount Elam Road didn't have a country club. Fifth Mass Turnpike didn't have a country club. Franklin Road didn't have a country club. Those roads were all done. And Sarah Lane to Fifth Mass on Oak Hill was done also. It was said before Mr. Bossanetto was commissioner by the former commissioner that this was a strategy the city wanted to employ where we would cover the roads entering the city first. We did Crawford Street, which is a major entryway from Leominster. We did Mount Elam Road. The state did Fifth Mass Turnpike. We did Sarah Lane to Fifth Mass Turnpike. We did Franklin. And now we're doing Oak Hill because Oak Hill is the last one in that corridor. It's the last one. And Commissioner Laxo said it years ago that Oak Hill was going to be next. We actually had this discussion when Mount Elam Road was being debated because he said that was the remaining one on that Route 2 area that still needed to be done. And I get complaints all the time from constituents about Oak Hill Road's conditions. So I use Oak Hill Road a lot myself. So I'm not questioning the traffic statistics. I know it's a busy road. And, you know, the other thing too that bothers me, because I've heard this before about Oak Hill Country Club, you know, we're doing this because the country club's there. You know, would it kill us to market the city a little better by having a nicely paved road for outside visitors that utilize a business in the city that pays property taxes too? I mean, I guess where I'm going with this is I am not going to question this appropriation. The road is in terrible condition. A lot of people use it outside and inside. The fact that a lot of outside people use it is even more of an incentive to do it because, you know, people outside the city love to complain about this city all the time. So why not, you know, exacerbate by that by having bad roads when you come in? So I guess for the DPW and for whomever the mayor is, it's a lose-lose for some people. We hear frequent complaining of how bad the roads are and how we don't pave enough of them. And then when we have a petition before us to pave one, there's issues. There's skepticism. I mean, if everyone can't just say, I guess I'm being kind of naive here, but if everyone can't just blindly accept the road being paved in the city, then all hope is lost. Because every week we have to hear how the roads stink, and then when there's a road up for discussion, it's, well, why isn't it this one? Or what's the real reason we're doing this one? It's like, can't win. So I don't care. Take Oak Hill Road out of it and substitute it with another one. I don't care where it is. Okay? Done. Because I'll get a lot of flack from people that I didn't vote for this, especially people in that neighborhood who have contacted me giddy about this because it's like hitting the lottery. You know, I think last year, Commissioner, there were roads that were paved not in major thoroughfares. We had Marshall Road up by Hollis Hills, Falula Street in Ward 6. We had, I forget a few of the others, but they were not heavily trafficked roads, some that we did last year. You know, so as you said correctly, we're trying to space it out. It's probably why this is a free cash program, because this road is long. It's very long, and it's the last one off Route 2 that we have not done yet. So there's a strategy here. And I know with the Chapter 90 funds down the road, you're going to send us a list of 5 or 6 streets, some of which are heavily trafficked and some which aren't. Summer Street is one of them, and that's a huge one too. So, you know, what used to happen was politics was too heavily involved with these discussions. It was really used to be whoever the mayor was would say, I'm going to pick this road and you're going to pave it whether you like it or not. Now it's more an engineering decision and a strategic decision. And that's why I like to see this index that we use. Oak Hill Road is not a good road, 38. And I know it's not right on topic, but you mentioned Williams Road. That is not a heavily trafficked road by any stretch, but it's in terrible condition. Pearl Hill Road's another one. Pearl Hill Road, I would argue, is one of the worst. But where on Williams Road quickly is it from Ashby Hill Road, Ashburnham Hill Road all the way up to where?
So we're going from Ashburnham Hill Road, we're going up to McIntyre, and then we're going to do McIntyre. And then depending on the price, we might come down to Alpine.
Okay.
But again,
so I'm asking that question because I want the public to hear that we are being equitable as best we can and strategic, spreading the wealth around. You know, we're not just doing Oak Hill Road and nothing else. There's going to be a slew of streets, 3 of which you just mentioned, that are in very rural parts of the city that are not heavily trafficked, that we're going to attack next, that need it just as bad. So I'm in favor of this without hesitation, without consternation. And I thank the mayor for putting this forward, because he didn't have to. And, you know, some who hear me say that may think that I'm praising him for, obvious reasons. But before he was in office, mayors didn't use free cash to supplement Chapter 90. This would be $700,000 in 5 years the city has invested on top of Chapter 90. And the last thing I'll say on that subject is the state is derelict in its duty. Okay? This state is thumbing their nose at residents in our city when their budget for the last 15 years has grown by 15 billion with a B, and they haven't increased one dime to the roads. One dime in 15 years. So when people complain about the condition of the roads, start there. Because when you create a program and get cities and towns dependent on it, and then you don't fund it, you're going to fall behind. And the MMA, I believe, said 2 years ago, they need to fund us at $700 million a year, and they're only doing $200 million. That's 3.5 times. But what do? Whatever. I just saw today the House budget, $46 billion. They're praising the fact that it went up $1.5 billion. Oh, lovely. Great. I'd love to know where all this money's going, because they don't have any for road infrastructure. So, but the reason why they get away with it is because they know, they're smart enough to know that Councilor Zarella, Walsh, Boschman, and me, we take the arrows, not them. And I've been trying to tell my constituents, I've been begging them, focus your attention on your state reps. They're the problem. Thank you. Councilor Zarella.
I agree with those points as usual. I do just want to re-emphasize that if we have traffic on Oak Hill Road because people from out of town are coming into the city to patronize one of our major businesses, that's a good thing. The more people we get driving on our roads from out of town, the more successful Fitchburg is. I would love it if we hit a point where 40 or 50% of our traffic was from out of town. That would mean we're a destination. And if that were the case, I would fully support paving those roads that out of towners use to come to Fitchburg and spend their money as often as necessary to make it an attractive proposition to drive into Fitchburg and spend their money. And I want to note, I'm not implying that my colleague, Councillor Boschman, does not want to see people spending their money in Fitchburg. That is not my implication. I'm just reminding my colleagues and the public that it's a good thing if we're paving roads that are used by out-of-towners. That's a positive. That shows that we are succeeding in our goal to revitalize the Fitchburg economy.
Thank you. Yeah. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to comment too. I wanted to thank the Commissioner Bolsonaro because it's been quoted numerous times that it takes about $1 million to pave a mile of road. And because of the method and the substances that they're using, they're paving more than a mile of road for a fraction of that cost. So I mean, I think the DPW is doing everything that they possibly can to pave as much road as possible for as little money as possible. And I mean, they're coming up with alternative solutions for this. So I want to thank them as well.
Mr. Chair. Yeah. I just want to say one thing. You don't hear me usually complain. I ain't complaining when you did Airport Road or Crawford Street. I'm not complaining when they do Summer Street. But the only thing I want to see done, if we're going to do Oak Hill Road, they got damaged because I believe, I'm not an engineer. I'm not going to say I am, but I know I live in the neighborhood, and I believe it was done approximately 10 years, a little bit more than 10 years ago. What's causing the problems up there is water. So if we're going to do the thing, then do it right. That's all I'm saying. That's why I mentioned the MS4 program up there. Do the thing right, where they tee off up there to practice before the fairway up there. That's where a lot of the problem is up there. I think it's the 10th hole or 9th hole. I forget what it is, where the fairway is. Right in that area, it's all beat up. There's a lot of water up there, a lot of water, and it beats up the road. And I think the commissioner can say that because that's what they usually say when they talk about Franklin Road. They get beat up because of water. And Kimball Street, they get beat up because of water. And all I want, if we're going to do it, then do it right. Just don't go up there and pave it over and say it's a nice, smooth road. And then 7, 8 years from now, we're doing the same road over again. That's all I want. Do it right. So, and he doesn't usually hear me complain when he didn't hear me complaining about Summer Street. And I'll repeat that again. And that wasn't in my ward. So, and I don't usually complain, but I just don't want him to forget Ward 2. That's why I keep on telling him. Oops. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve the appropriation. And if there are no objections, I will take this under unanimous consent. There are no objections, so it passes unanimously, favorably to the full council. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to adjourn, and if there are no objections, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.